In the previous episodes, we covered the story of the birth of Lord Ram and his brothers, so it is essential that we cover the story of the birth of Goddess Sita. Now, when I researched about it, I got really confused because as a child, I had heard a very different story of how Goddess Sita was born. So I researched and I researched more. And then I came to the conclusion that this country is so big that the origin stories of gods and goddesses differ and change so much when you move across regions and religions and geographies. So I picked the top 5 most popular ones. I'm sure that you think that you know them all, but even you won't be able to believe the last one. Before we move ahead, do subscribe to this series. Mahabharat with Divyansh is blowing up on Instagram like anything. So how about we give it some competition from Ramayan with Divyansh? So hit the bell icon and share it with your friends. The first story around the birth of Goddess Sita is the most popular one and widely accepted. Both Valmiki's Ramayan and Tulasidas' Ramcharitramanas tell this story. While it is debated exactly where she was born, some say it was in Nepal, some say it was in Bihar, the legend goes like this. King Janak was a wise and noble king. He stood for welfare of his subjects, revered the sages, and was something of a philosopher himself. Now, it was primarily an agrarian society back then, which was heavily reliant on rains. Gods and kings had to be kept pleased at all times. But at the start of the sowing season, the farmers called King Janak to be the first one to plough the land. He received a grand welcome in the farmlands. Hordes of farmers and their families gathered to watch their king. Anticipation, celebration, and King Janak was a man of the people, so he obliged. He began ploughing the land, but suddenly he came to a halt. Cries pierced the air, the cries of a baby. Janak, astonished, bent down. Kids in the crowd rushed ahead to get a better view. Something big had happened. When the king rose again, he held a baby in his arms. So no one had any idea how the baby which King Janak found got there in the ground. Some said that the child was abandoned, but the elders said that she was a gift from the earth goddess. King Janak held her warmly in his arms and accepted her as his daughter, naming her Sita. Sita was also called Bhumija, which means she who was born out of earth. She was also called Maithili, the princess of the kingdom of Mithila, another name Janki, being King Janak's daughter. This story of Goddess Sita being born out of earth is the most popular one out there. It is even mentioned in Valmiki's Ramayan and Ramcharitramanas. But in a country this big and a history that goes back ages, of course there will be variations. Let's find out what. The Adbhut Ramayan tells a slightly different story. According to it, there was a woman by the name of Vedavati who was the granddaughter of Brihaspati, the guru of gods. Her father, Kushadwaj, was a learned sage who read all the Vedas. Hence her name. Her father wanted her to marry Vishnu, so since childhood, he made her do tapasya. She grew up to be beautiful. Word traveled fast about her purity and tapasya. Soon, many kings and celestial beings were coming up asking for her hand in marriage, but her father was adamant. Only Vishnu as son-in-law, no one else. So he ended up insulting one King Sambhu. Bad idea. When King Sambhu was rejected, he got offended. So one Amavas ki raat, he killed her parents. Regardless of their death, Vedavati continued meditating and praying, hoping to win Lord Vishnu as her husband. That is when Ravan entered the picture. When Ravan got rejected as well, he got creepy. He used his power and tried to assault her. To save herself from Ravan, she threw herself into Havan's fire, and as she got consumed by the flames, she cursed Ravan that she will be born again, and in her next life, she will be the cause of his death. Vedavati was reborn as Sita, according to Adbhut Ramayana. There is another variation of the same, which is primarily popular in the Tamil and Malayalam texts. They refer to Vedavati as Maa Sita, an illusion of Sita. The legend is that when Vedavati entered the fire to save herself from Ravan, the god of fire, Agni Dev, provided her shelter. 10 decades later, when Ravan was kidnapping Maa Sita, he sought shelter in a fire, and here she was replaced by Maa Sita. So according to this version, Ravan kidnapped Maa Sita, not Sita. After the epic battle was done and the Agni Pariksha episode happened, it was Maa Sita who finally went into the fire, and out came Maa Sita. This version is doing rounds on the internet recently as the real truth of Ramayan. But the real truth is that this is a vast country and every region will have their own versions of the story based on the texts which are popular there. So instead of debating who is right and who is wrong, let's just try to learn all that we can, because the next one, the final version of how Sita was born, is going to be the most controversial of all. There are certain Jain versions of Ramayan, particularly Saghadasa's version, where it is said that Sita was the daughter of Ravan. The story goes that Sita was the firstborn of Ravan with his wife Mandotri. He was jubilated, happy, the king of the world. Bad idea, because the astrologers in Ravan's court predicted that his firstborn will end his line and cause his destruction. Ravan was devastated, but he couldn't come to terms to kill his first child. Yet, the astrologers had spoken. So instead, he ordered that she be taken away to a distant land and left at the mercy of the gods. So his men took his child to a faraway land in the kingdom of Mithila and buried her under an open field. But it is exactly at that spot that King Janak ploughed, and thus he found Sita. Hi, this is Divyansh and I'm a student of Indian epics. I noticed that many young people like me want to read the Ramayana and Mahabharata but do not have time. So I decided to narrate the epics in easy, simple, bite-sized form. If you want to embark with me on this journey to explore Ramayana from start to end, serially, while also touching upon the side characters and backstories and crossovers, do hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. If you want to spread the word, do share these tales with your friends. I'm sure there are going to be many more like us. I also run the popular Instagram page Mahabharat with Divyansh, which as of the moment I am reciting this video has already crossed over 150,000 followers in just 15 days. Mahabharat with Divyansh is on Instagram, Ramayan with Divyansh is on YouTube, and Fiction with Divyansh is the Instagram page for my horror stories, which has almost 400,000 followers. If you like my storytelling, you can join me wherever you want, but it would be awesome if you could do it on all. Different content, same guy, bad jokes, but no bad ideas. Anyway, see you around.